Wow, can film change the world? Probably not if it's the Hardy Books movie. I think we can safely say. I don't think it's contributed to any reduction in carbon emissions, but however. Are there many filmmakers out here today? Anybody sort of people who want to make films or involved in filmmaking in any way? Quite a few. I don't think we're in a better age at the moment for filmmaking. It's just an incredible time. You know, technology has advanced. You know, there's so many platforms for distribution. It's a really exciting time, I think, in terms of filmmaking. And I think Hardy Books is a really great example of what can happen, you know, in this day and age in terms of taking something from the bedroom to broadcast, or perhaps from YouTube to Universal Pictures. Could be another way to describe it. So I'm just going to show you a little clip now, because this is the question: how do you do that? I think there'll be a little video in a second, maybe. Yeah.
Come on, you fuck. Push for the burn, man. Push for the burn. Well, my name's Eddie Durkin. I'm from this town. I suppose at a guess I'm a bit of a buck, you know. Slapping, fighting, rolling round.
Damage her, man. Damage her. Don't damage me, damage her.
My name is Billy McDonald. Steph and Eddie, how would you say? We're two Hardy Books at hometown.
How are you getting on? My name is Eddie Durkin, and this is Castletown, County Mayo. A lively enough out spot.
Do you shift girls and discos?
Green and red of Mayo. There was camera boys following us around, and we were dating women and driving cars and drinking, fighting, going to phone parties and all that crack. Stick around, watch us. There's not much else to be doing on a Tuesday night, like. And if you're into smoking it up in a gaff in Galway somewhere, down by the Spanish Arch, you'll love it. Good luck.
A new comedy series, Hardy Books, starts Tuesday at 10:50 on RTE2. If you like that sort of thing, I wouldn't watch it.
This is Castletown, my home. There's no women, there's no work, and no crack. The one bit of good news is Ireland have qualified for the Euros out in Poland.
First, they took Ireland by storm.
Where are you going?
Going to watch the boys in green. Enjoying another summer trying to master self-fellatio. Yeehaw!
Now, the Hardy Bucks
Should be out there with the rest of them on the way to Poland now. It's a matter of national pride this time. Your country needs you.
are hitting Europe.
This is it, lads. Life on the open road. What could be more fun, huh? Well, I've compiled a list of do's or don'ts. Number 1, you sprinkle when you tinkle. Be a sweetie and wipe the seatie. Number 2, no shitting in the onboard toilet.
They're going to support the boys in green.
You can't come to Europe and not go to Amsterdam, you know?
This is what you're looking for. And that baby's gonna make me a lot of money. Blowjob and a beer can. That could be your best friend.
And no amount of partying,
Money being sound, man.
hot women,
You're bloody romantic.
or dodgy drugs will stop them.
Pulling a whitey.
Take that.
You owe me €4,000.
Any chance you can burn me a copy of that, is there?
$4 grand.
This February,
We don't get that across the border to Poland in the next 2 days.
You don't even want to know, man.
these small town bucks
Do you know how to speak English? Is that French, is it? And then if we're coming back, this is where the magic happens.
You never even had a chance to blow my vuvuzela.
are taking on Europe.
That's positive.
She never came to Poland in the first place.
You boys are you some new shit.
No, please don't.
Lads, I need your help. Are you with me, are you?
The Hardy Bucks movie.
Right then. You've broken me.
So, some journey. Now, obviously that's gone, as you see there. YouTube, national broadcaster, RTE, Universal Pictures. So that's quite a leap of faith in people. Now, I think the obvious thing is, if you were to work that backwards, if I'd have walked into Universal offices with one piece of paper with a treatment on it, and so I've got this idea for a movie, they'd have probably not laughed me out of the room, but probably wouldn't have been so easy to get funding, you know. And I think if we set ourselves that task and said, let's go to a major studio and try and get a feature produced with one, it's quite a difficult task. If you were to take it back to, say, the the national broadcaster, and you walk into RTE and you say, right, okay, I've got this really, really good idea for a TV series. You know, it's a great idea. We've got all these characters, blah blah blah. Again, it's a really, really difficult ask, you know, and it's a tough job. However, if your task was to pick up a camcorder, go and have a laugh with your mates, and produce a short viral of any sort, something you want to produce for yourself, and stick it on YouTube, well, frankly, anybody can do that, which is the great freedom we have. Obviously, the talent behind the camera, in front of the camera, etc., is quite important, but anybody can do that. Now, that is exactly how HardyBook started. Chris Tordoff and Martin Maloney, two good mates, got together with some of their other friends and sort of created these characters, Eddie Durkin, the Viper, and associated characters, and spent a couple of days with a little camcorder and had a bit of a laugh and just went and recorded what was a little short clip called Tales of a Hardy Buck. They did it for a laugh, they did it for themselves, they did it for the mates, nothing other than that. It was genuine. It was from the heart. It wasn't. They weren't producing something for a studio or for a network or for anybody else, for an audience. They just made it for what they wanted to make. I had a look at that. I thought it was absolutely superb. I thought they'd got great potential. Martin Maloney is my brother-in-law. Chris Tordoff had worked with me before as an assistant editor. So I knew the guys, and it was basically a case of, let's do something else with this. So everybody clubbed together. We wrote a script, and we got a little bit of money, and the guys borrowed some equipment from the college they were at, and we spent a weekend and shot episode 1 of Hardy Books, which is on YouTube now. Again, it was made for a laugh. There was no particular audience. It was just, let's do it for ourselves. Let's do it for the crack. You know, see what happens. That went up online. We started to get decent figures, viewing figures, and then RTE launched a series called Storyland, which was looking for new drama talent. So we submitted for that and actually got accepted, and then that's actually just running at the moment as well. Actually, I think it's in its 5th year now. That involved making short online videos that were voted for, but it was kind of the X factor for YouTube, basically. And Hardy Books won all of those rounds and won the eventual competition. So that gave us the currency of a fan base to then go into RTE. So we went into RTE and said, right, obviously it's your competition. You know exactly who we are. You know exactly what our fan base is. Let's make a TV series. They commissioned it. We made the first series. We made a Christmas special, and we made a second TV series, which was great. That all did very, very well. We'd hit 2012 now, and the European Championships were on, and as were the Olympics. So RTE said, well, it's probably going to be a bit tricky for us this year to do another series. Well, that was their excuse anyway, because we've got no money, because we're spending it all on the football and the Olympics. So come back next year. So I said, okay, no bother. Let's go make a movie then. So I said, would you give us a license fee for a film? And they sort of said, yeah, okay, that sounds good. So I then went to the film board with the idea. They said, yeah, that's great. And went to Universal Pictures, and they said, yeah, great. And the reason they said, yeah, great, because again, it's a business, was because we got the currency of a fan base. I doubt very much either of those parties would have said yes without that fan base behind us. So at the end of the day, you know, we all know it's a business, and it's people like a safe bet, and we were that safe bet. Now, that's sort of the process of how it actually happened physically. In terms of creatively, it was quite a task, because obviously taking something which is a small YouTube vignette and then transporting that to a half-hour TV series, then transporting that into a 90-minute feature film, there's a lot of sort of creative processes that have to change. Obviously, the first format, the YouTube, it was a mockumentary. There were short vignettes. You can kind of do what you want on YouTube. You know, you've got nobody looking at you. You're not doing it for a specific audience. You are basically making it for yourself. You're hoping the audience like it, and you know, you've got no commissioning editors looking over your shoulder saying, oh, well, you've got to take that out, or you've got to tweak that, or that's not funny enough, or whatever. You're just making it for yourself. So there's a great freedom with YouTube. And in terms of story arc, you can basically just put a short clip together. It can be funny. You know, everybody just dips in and out of YouTube. They want to watch something really short and sweet. They don't want to be involved in necessarily a lot. I mean, there are long-running dramas on there, but as a format, it works as a short vignette. You don't have to worry about big, complicated story arcs for your character. So when we moved it then to the TV series, now you've suddenly got to take little 6 or 7 minute vignettes and put them into 25-minute, half-hour, commercial half-hour TV shows. So now you need a character arc for all the characters. You need a series arc across the series. So that was an interesting development. Also, we encountered the involvement of other parties that were coming in now. We've got commissioners, we've got other people looking over our shoulders, the money men going, well, you've got to tweak this, you've got to tweak that. Then the sort of the rawness of what it was kind of gets a little, some of the edges get chamfered off a little bit. So when it then moved to the feature film, we kind of learnt a lot on this along the road now. And now it was a case of, well, if we're going to do this, we want to do it our way. So in the contracts for RTE and for Universal Pictures, they both had clauses in there saying that they wanted final edit. And they were, as far as we were concerned, deal breakers. You know, it was like, no, you've got to take that out, because we know now at this stage we're capable of making what we want to make. We know what our audience is. So it's either take it or leave it. And they did take them out of both of the clauses, which meant that we could literally go away and make the film that we wanted to make and have complete trust and faith in ourselves and make it for the audience we developed. Unfortunately, that it worked out well. But what we did have to do creatively as well was abandon the mockumentary format, which had worked for the vignettes, the online stuff, and it had worked for the half-hour TV shows, because the drama of the actual storyline of the movie involved a kidnapping, and you suddenly think, well, you can't really suggest that somebody's kidnapped and tied up at gunpoint with a camera crew just standing there next to them, you know. So you kind of, that was a bit tricky. So the film had to evolve in a different way from the online stuff to the TV series, because, again, you don't want to suddenly present your fan base who followed you all the way through, who've now paid for a ticket to go to the cinema, and they sit down and they go, what's this? This isn't Hardy Books. This is some slick kind of movie kind of thing, you know. So it was a conscious decision to start the show, the film, very, very similar style, other than the title sequence, but it started off as though it was the TV series, as though it was a YouTube clip, and we kind of evolved the story into a movie. So, for example, at the halfway point of the film, the midpoint, when the guys wake up in a cage, we actually introduced a score underneath, which obviously we would have never put that in before because it's a mockumentary. You wouldn't have a score. So we kind of snuck in movie. It kind of, if you watch it, it kind of evolves into a feature film rather than jumping straight in, because we didn't want to piss our fans off, basically. In terms of fans, it goes back to the YouTube notion of you can if you start off on YouTube, you can just make what you want for yourself and have true belief in what you're making. Once you get into commercial arenas of TV and film and whatever, it's difficult because you've got fans, and there's committees, and there's money men, and there's all kinds of people that are kind of like niggling at you, saying, well, we should broaden it here, we should try and introduce a female aspect, we should, you know, there's a lot of things that you have to sort of deal with. The great thing about YouTube and just going out and shooting stuff is you make it for yourself, and you make it, you know, there's a truth and there's an honesty in there, you know. And let's take, for example, that movie Whiplash, which is done the rounds at festivals, and is up for an Oscar. Now, with all due respect to everybody in this room, I doubt anybody could have written that film, because I doubt anybody in here grew up as a jazz drummer and was persecuted by his teacher, you know. But that was that filmmaker's story, and that was his complete personal story. So he could tell that story, and And again, you wouldn't get a committee of producers sitting around in Hollywood going, right, I think this year's big thing's going to be jazz drummers persecuted by their teachers, you know. Or it just doesn't happen. But the way movies happen is just believe in your own story. And I bet everybody's got a story out there. It doesn't matter whether you're flipping burgers, whether you're night porter at a hospital, you're car park attendant, whatever. Everybody's got a story. So I think that the way of building an audience is being completely truthful to yourself and to that story. Now, I mean, for me, funny enough, this story's about, I don't know if you've seen the film, it's about some guys driving across Europe to go to see the Euros. Now, when I was younger, I used to have a little business which involved driving across to Europe backwards and forwards, smuggling concert and film posters back to the UK. And I'd just like to point out I'd never smuggled hash or ran up a big bill in a lap dancing club. But that experience was sort of subconsciously in there. It was in there at the back of my mind in terms of telling this story. And I think, again, in terms of making a film, it's your life experiences. It's all of the things that you've got inside, the little stories you've got. It can also be your jobs and other experiences that can give you the skill set to make a film. And for example, when I left college, I lived in South Africa as a concert promoter. When I came back, I was an editor and writer on a comedy magazine. And then I worked in the music industry for Atomic Kitten, of all people, and was tour manager and travelled around the world tour managing them. Now, if you rewind that, they gave me the skills I needed to make this film, because putting on a concert teaches you how to promote, how to produce. You know, you've got to handle money, you've got to put an event on. Writing a comedy magazine, obviously, you write comedy, it helps. And tour managing is basically being a first AD, getting people to be in the right place at the right time. So a lot of those skills kind of came together in order to make that film. It was an alignment of the stars, I think, because in particular this film, the Hardy Bucks was like taking a rock and roll band on the road into the biggest party that was happening for the Irish people in 2012. You know, the European Championships in Poland. What I'd like to do now is just play a little clip and to talk about sort of some of the techniques of making a low budget movie.
Fair play to you. Told them.
Well, I had to tell them, man. If you can't tell your mates, who can you tell? My mind is wrecked with all this drugs crap, man.
Trusted you, man.
As long as Salmon and the Viper don't find out, we're still in the clear, man. Hey, hang on a second.
What?
How do you know that Bo's new?
I thought it'd be fucking best if I told him.
If you know the jigs in the reel, you told him. You're a fucking hypocrite.
I'm not a hypocrite.
You are a hypocrite.
I'm the captain of this ship, right? And if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even be here.
Exactly.
Do you like that, boys?
Come on, Angie, would you grow up? Please, come on, stop the fuck!
You must have no fear. If you think that you can come to my country and fuck with me. No one fucks with Roman. You hear me?
I'm not trying to fuck with you, right? It was an accident. My friend, former friend, didn't get the hash the wrong man.
And you have just fucked with the wrong man. I'll show you what an accident looks like.
No, please don't. Please, you're hurting my dick. You just take my phone. Call Eddie. He'll sort it out. He'll get you the hash. Please take it away from there. I need that.
Okay. I prefer it if you give me back what is mine.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to kill you.
I understand that.
So much screaming and begging and mess.
I don't like mess either. Just call him, please.
You boys are in some deep shit, you know that.
I know.
I don't see a daddy here.
He's under knob jockey.
Knob jockey?
K-N-O-B.
Knob jockey.
Take that now, right? Yeah. You deserve it.
Eddie, I knew you could win the end.
I apologise deeply for what I did to you. I know. Put you in that position, I'm sorry, right?
We're BFFs.
Big fuckers for life. You're a crazy bastard. Salmon. Do you think I'd leave you out of it? What did I tell you?
You get me a ticket.
And what do you think this is? Hear that?
Oh, you beautiful, beautiful man.
That's my fucking ticket.
Enjoy the match, lads.
They're my tickets. Why you don't give them away, man?
Piper, you've caused us untold grief. You've also fucking lifted our spirits.
Why are you giving a fucking ticket for it?
Don't worry about that. We're going to the fan zone. And that's the end of it.
What the fuck am I gonna do?
You're gonna have to fucking crack yourself and George.
Sound.
Come on. Piper.
Hey, sorry,
you're a sound old fucking asshole.
Sorry, I'm only fucking...
Come on.
Wait, that's all because I love you.
I know you are, you bastard.
Hey, watch this.
Come on.
Hey, watch this.
Okay, so the reason I've got those 3 clips up there is that's kind of how to squeeze the last penny out of your budget when you haven't got one, basically. The first clip there you saw, there was about, I don't know, 10,000 lanterns going up in the background, which the lanterns were £3 each. We had to get 10,000 extras in, pay them 20 quid each. No, we didn't at all. Somebody said, whilst we were in Poland shooting, they said, oh, by the way, I don't know if you know, there's a Guinness Book of Records attempt to launch the most, lanterns up down by this canal, like next Tuesday. I was like, fantastic, well, we'll use that then. So that's exactly what we did. I mean, it's pretty difficult technically because you've got loads of people walking past making a racket and you just jump to the side and try and shoot a scene. And so, shh, can we all shut up, please? We're shooting a movie here. But that, I think that visually looks very nice, and otherwise it would have just been 2 guys standing by a wall or whatever, so that was free. Then I'd gone over and done a quick recce in Poland, in Poznan, before we finished writing the script, simply to find out what there was in Poznan, because I knew that there was going to be a kidnap scene, so it was like, got there, had a look, and saw that there was a shooting range. So I thought, oh, great, so we had a look at shooting range, and that solved so many problems, because it's a great place to be kidnapped. You've got your guns there, you don't have to get somebody in a firearms specialist and, blah, blah, blah. You've actually got the guns there. It looks moody enough. It's kind of, so that was like, I can't remember how much it cost, not a lot, to hire the gun range. So that worked fantastically as a set, and that was written into the script, having been there to see it. And then, obviously the end scene there, which again on paper was a bit mad, let's write the final scene of the movie outside one of the football games, when you've got about 30,000 people. It actually pans round afterwards and you see them all coming towards you. And again, that shot cost nothing. We'd got all of our extras, all of our set piece. The production value was great. It was the real deal. It gave people a feeling that, oh, guys, the guys actually did go to this football game, which they did. So again, that cost us nothing to do that shot, yet it gave us the production value. So what I would say is if you are sort of embarking on a low-budget movie or micro-budget movie, as this was, think about how you can stretch your euro and think about what locations you can use and try and incorporate them to get as much value as possible. I mean, that's pretty much, to be quite honest. I'll just give you a quick sort of overview of how we made it and the process from going from the bedroom to broadcast, as you say, which sounds rather dubious, doesn't it? I mean, a couple of tips I would say that I've sort of learnt along the way in terms of making movies and stuff is, I think don't rush your magnum opus. Take your time, think about. Get out there and do stuff, but don't worry about how long it's going to take you to make your defining piece of work that's going to put your name out there. I'm not saying that is for me, but I'm just saying, for people. I think you've got to live a little, because making films is about life and it's about representation of people and humanity and stories. So I think, it always struck me as a bit weird, people at film school, you go straight from university to film school and they've got to make movies and kind of go, well, probably best to go out and live for 5 years and then come back and make a movie, because that's what filmmaking is all about. I would also say try and learn as many parts of filmmaking as possible in terms of the technical side of things. I think it's always handy to know what the sight and sound guy's doing, what the lighting guy's doing, how the editor's editing, because knowing those parts of the process, I think, make for a better team on the day. It's easier to appreciate what the other members of the crew are doing, I think. It's a lovely shot, isn't it, that one? Another note I would say is the script is never finished, because you're always writing it till the very, very last day and the very, very last shot, and even if it's just in your head, so don't worry about the script not being finished, because it never is, I think. And finally, I think, to use the example of Hardy Books, just get a camera, get some mates, and go out and shoot something. So on that note, that's me.